This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gas-fed show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. You have the code of a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know it's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome, Quack.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome to Veteran Talk with Magic Mike, where what's important to you is important to us. Let's talk. I'm your host, Magic Mike, and today we're diving deep into something close to my heart. How sharing your story and getting behind the mic can be a powerful form of rehabilitation. Whether you're fresh out of service, years into civilian life.
20 years. It's been 20 years since we saw each other in Iraq. And he looks older in person.
Now, we're not all poets or motivational speakers, but you'd be amazed at how therapeutic it can be just to talk. One thing I've learned is that every story has value. Doesn't matter if you were on the front lines or behind a desk. Your experience is worth sharing, and trust me, somebody out there needs to hear it. Broadcasting gives us a way to say, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I've been through. It bridges gaps, builds community, and creates new purpose.
And welcome to Veterans Talk with yours truly, DJ Magic Mike H-Train in the studio. Unfortunately, we got a little bit of sad news, as most of you have already heard. The one and only, the great himself, had the privilege to meet him many years ago, and he was just a very humble and a love of veterans. He had passion for veterans, and one of the greatest wrestling champions of the world, a member of the WWE, which was formerly the WWF, Hulk Hogan. Terry himself passed away today at the age of 71 due to complications from a surgery that he had in Clearwater, Florida. So I know there's, in the military, we have a lot of, wrestling gurus and people that, we kind of grew up on wrestling, safe to say, right?
Oh, yeah, especially people that was in the service. I mean, wrestling was huge. I mean, they even came to see us while we were deployed, Kurt Angle and
Diamond Dallas.
Yeah,
Diamond Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, they made a huge impact on the troops. Hell, they even had a special that they did every Christmas while we were deployed, and it was called Tribute to Troops. And I mean, that's kind of what we still do today, except it's a little different way. It's not wrestling, but
so day before yesterday, we lost the one and only great Ozzy Osbourne, one of the again a pioneer of Black Sabbath, the lead singer, started Black Sabbath, gone at 76. Then we have the great Hulk Hogan today. They said they usually come in threes. Let's hope that we can break that. But I just thought it was a little bit of sad news today.
Well, when you say it comes in threes, the Theo.
That's right. Theo from the Cosby Show passed away as well. So there it is. There's our three right there.
Yeah, he drowned in
off the coast of Costa Rica.
Yes,
that's it. Yeah, it was a riptide that caught him, and he drowned. Unfortunate, man. Just these are all people that we loved and we embraced. I mean, matter of fact, Theo was in a see, we're all going to remember him as Theo now, right? I got Jamal Markhamson, I think was his name, right? Malcolm
Right.
Jamal was his name. Yeah, he was in a show that recently that I was watching. He was playing a doctor, and I was just, I mean, he's a great actor. He was a true great actor. So even as a kid, he was a good actor into his adulthood. But he was playing a doctor on a show that we were watching. It was pretty impressive. What's going on, Flores? How you doing, brother? So yeah, if you did anybody watch? Did you watch any of the trial yesterday for the Koberger guy who killed the Iowa?
No, but you was
Yeah,
telling me some of
man.
the
So I was
stories,
watching. I was
and
listening to
I
Fox.
just saw this comic. I just had to share this comic because of Hogan's death. That's kind of like a
Oh yeah,
little,
everybody's up there. Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
yeah. Andre the Giant. Yeah. Rod Piper. Yep. Macho Man Savage. The Sheik. Yeah. They all went before him. Yep.
great, yeah. I thought it was important for me to share that real quick. I
That's
just
great.
saw that coming across my desk.
Run. Rest in peace, Hulk. Yeah. So yeah. Yesterday. I mean, changing gears a little bit. Yeah. Yesterday was crazy. I watched or I listened to on Fox News the impact statements and just to talk and touch base about that. I mean, what is your thoughts on that? Give a call to our station 720-619-0627 720-619-0627. We're talking about the case where the college kid who was working on his PhD actually in criminal justice murdered in cold blood the 4 roommates in Iowa, tragically. And so I listened to the impact statements yesterday, and I caught the one parent. He was pretty abrupt. I mean, you got to remember, there's a lot of emotions going on, right? And it's
Oh yeah,
the impact statements are pretty much from the victims, family members, or victims, right? They're impact statements, and they're read to the judge basically, but they're read to the accuser, and it's usually right before their sentencing. And then right before their sentencing, that weighs a lot on them. And the judge looks for things like, is there empathy, sympathy, any kind of reaction from the accuser. And I mean, he sat there in cold and just stared, into
Yeah.
space. But the one father said, "Go to hell." That was his last statement. Everybody clapped on that one, which I thought was, that's a lot of emotions. The father of the Consina, or I'm not saying the name right. It was Cosina, I think it was. Family got up there, and I thought his impact statement was phenomenal. And he said it the best. He said, "You think you're smart because this guy had 2 master's degrees and was working on his doctorate." And he said, "You're actually dumb. You're dumb. You left so much evidence that we had you nailed right before, So kind of crazy, really crazy. But
Well, do you know the backstory? Like, why did he do it? Do you know
there
the
is
backstory?
there is no real backstory. I'm trying to get this light right. There we go. There's really no backstory that he just thought he could get away with it. I mean, I just crazy, cray. I mean, listen, if you sit there and you tell me the devil made you do it, I might think you're crazy, whatever it is, what it is. I heard voices in my head, but this guy had like nothing. So the reason it was such a big deal though is it because there was a plea bargain that the death penalty would come off and he would plead guilty and get, whatever punishment the judge set forth. And the judge sentenced with 4 consecutive life sentences, plus 10 years. I don't know what that does, but anyways, 4 consecutive. So consecutive life sentence is usually about 30 years. So 4 consecutive. So 30. Yeah, he's never going to see daylight without the possibility of parole. In the impact statement, the father was like, he was telling him, you think you're smart, you're not smart. We found you, and you're actually really dumb. And that was the whole thing. This guy was so narcissistic that he thought he was so smart and so better than everybody else, right? And the mother got up there, and the mother said, pretty much the same thing. And then the mother read the impact statement for the daughter who wasn't there, and I think it was a younger daughter, which would have been the younger sister of one of the victims. And she said, "You think you're smart. You think you're smart because you got A's in high school and you got all A's in college. Well, guess what? You're not that smart. You're going to state penitentiary and you're going to get nothing but D's and big ones." And I was like,
Damn.
did anybody catch that? Did anybody catch that? I mean, that's like when I'm at church and my pastor goes, Jesus said, but, and everybody knows I love big butts, but, and I'm like, is anybody getting these innuendos at all? even a little bit, or am I just that shallow that I get them? She said you got A's in high school, A's in college, but in prison you're going to get D's and big ones. I'm like, oh my God, for the love of Jesus, Joseph and Mary, did she really just say that?
He won't.
And I don't think he'll last. I don't think he'll last.
He'll
either A, commit suicide or somebody's going to kill him.
He's gone in 6 months, dude.
Oh, easily.
You go to jail if you.
Anybody care to make a bet? Anybody want to make a bet with us? Give me a call, 720-619-0627. Magic Mike is making a bet with you today that he doesn't last longer than 6 months. Yeah, I don't think so.
No, because hey, look, you kill a person, go to jail, but you kill a kid,
but it's not
pedophile. Oh,
but listen, it's not even that. It's the fact that he's so narcissistic. He thinks he's smarter than everybody. He's going to get in there and he's going to think he's smarter than the average street guy, and the street guy is going to set him straight, and he's going to be done. D-O-N-E, done. So I don't know. Whatever. I'm a firm believer, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I think he should have got the death penalty. I don't think there should be, when there's any doubt that somebody's getting a death penalty, I don't think there should be a plea bargain. I think it should be, no, he's going to get the death penalty, period. End of story.
Man, I thought about that. If I did something that bad, like, let's say if I like blacked out and I did something that bad, like, I wouldn't even fight it, dude. I'd just say, I'll take the death penalty, because why the hell would I want to sit there and rot in jail? Especially when I have nowhere else, consecutive. You can't go nowhere. No early parole, no nothing. It's like, why even be around? But that takes a heartless son of a bitch.
Yeah, it says newly released documents reveal that the Idaho killer's disturbing behavior before campus murders. So I mean, he had disturbing. Yeah, that boy was cray cray before he even went cray cray. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Newly declassified material documents destroy Russian collusion hoax. We all heard about that. I mean, that's like huge,
that was my that was on behind the headlines the other day. That was my as the White House turns. That's the segment that I do, as the White House turns. Now we have the Republicans going after the Obama for some kind of shit. And I think the only reason why that's going on, Magic Mike, is because, the Democrats came out and said, hey, we want the list. So now that they got this, coming out,
I say this all the time.
They're countering.
I say this all the time. I want a politician. This is what I want. And if you agree with me, give me a call. You agree with me, drop me a line on an email. If you agree with me, hit me up on chat or something like that. I want a politician that gets up there and says, I don't care what the left does. I don't care what the right does, but this is what I'm going to do. I am going to do A, B, C, and D, and I'm going to do it. And when people start attacking him, he just looks the other way, because that's what we should be doing. We should be looking the other way. We shouldn't add fuel to the fire. The things of saying, Colbert got fired. That's awesome. Not necessary. That's horrible. That's horrible that somebody gets fired. It's horrible that his ratings were that bad that he got terminated. Right. I'm not a big fan of Colbert. If you're out there, Colbert, hi. I'm not a big fan of yours. I mean, I like some of your material, but some of it's really dry. But
he's almost like Conan. I didn't even know people still watched him. Now, Jimmy Fallon, that's a different story. I think Jimmy Fallon is one of the greats. He's almost up there with Johnny Carson, and there was
Johnny Carson was the same way. Johnny Carson made fun of both the left and the right. He didn't care.
And there was something on Twitter, Magic Mike, that talked about how firing Colbert was a possibility against our democracy. And I wrote them, I'm like, dude, the same shit happened to Hank Williams Jr. when he opened his mouth with Obama and you guys canceled him. This guy opened his mouth with Trump. Now he's being canceled. There's no difference.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that's just crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys know about the celebrity chef that died? The female, her name was Anne Burrell. I think I'm saying that. they're saying it was suicide. The medical examiner ruled it suicide. She was dead at 55 in her New York home on June 17th.
Oh shit.
They're saying that was suicide, that she had a deadly combinations of diphenhydramine, ethanol, citrazine, and methamphetamines. So it was a deadly combination. So they're saying it was suicide. Now they're ruling that a suicide. So
Oh, wow.
I mean that's pretty crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah, a lot going on in the world. Where was it? I just saw something else I wanted to talk about. Doggone it, and I forgot.
Well, hey, if you're okay with it, we'll go on a real quick break, and then when we come back, it should be almost time.
Absolutely, let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, we're gonna come right back after this. We're gonna take a quick short break. We'll be back at Veterans Talk with yours truly, DJ Magic Mike, and H Train in the studio on the radio station that gives veterans a voice, Military Broadcast Radio. We'll be right back.
Whatever happened to the brave young soldier? He was a good friend of mine. They say as he died, he never once cried, lying with his brothers there by his side. At 19 years old, he was sent off to war, not really sure what he was fighting for. So he fights for what's behind him and his brothers beside him. Together they'll weather the storm. 9 long months later and he's still alive. Fought several long battles you shouldn't have survived. Then the IED exploded as the ambush unfolded. He laid there bleeding as his brothers all died. Whatever happened to the brave young soldier? He was a good friend of mine. They say as he died, he never once cried, lying with his brothers there by his side. Reinforcements arrived in the nick of time. Old Doc had found him and called in the nightline. He awoke in the hospital. They patched all the holes. Too bad they couldn't fix the ones in his soul. And 16 years later he locks all the doors, unable to find anything worth living for. His family has left him. He feels society rejects him. With a bottle and a pistol, he falls to the floor. Whatever happened to the brave old veteran? He was a good friend of mine. They say as he died, he sat there and cried, with only his memories sitting there by his side. Brothers and sisters, we can't lose this war. Have we forgotten what the hell we fought for? Pick up the phone, go knock on the door. 22 too many, we must carry on, fighting these battles until they are won. We know that we walk on the edge of a knife, but one simple call can save a life. Whatever happened to the brave old veteran? He was a good friend of mine.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program. are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Veterans Talk with yours truly, DJ Magic Mike and H-Train in the studio. We have our guests backstage ready to come on. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop us a line. Like I said, you can either give us a call, email us, text us. You can throw a pigeon up in the air, smoke signals. It don't matter. We'll answer it. But,
Ladies and gentlemen, today's interview of the week is none other than veteran advocate Jane Babcock.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
And here we are. We welcome Jane. How may I call you Jane?
Certainly.
Yeah, she has me standing.
As my mom used to say, just don't call me late for dinner.
That's
There
it.
we go.
She'll have me stand up at parade rest before the end of the show. Just stand at parade rest. Jesus. Hey, Jane, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You served in the Army. I know that, right?
Yes, 21 and a half years between the Army and Army Reserve, 4
Wow.
DD-214s. I kept going home and they kept calling me back.
Wow. So you got some experience on
much.
deployments, it
And I'm
sounds like.
third generation.
Third generation. See, man, Army strong. They were
Actually,
What's that? Say that again?
yeah, my grandfather did World War I, World War II, reserves before and after, and ended up with 30 years, which
Man.
is what I was going for. And my dad did World War II.
See, I tell you what, we're multiplying here on the show. Army's getting stronger and stronger every day. That's right. So what did you do in the Army?
Yeah, well, we are the biggest branch.
We are. That is.
Started out as a crypto tech, and then I became an installer. So I actually went on Navy ships and submarines and Air Force air traffic control towers and all sorts of different things. And then I went to the reserves and became a radio operator. And then I went active duty and became a information systems operator, computer operator. And then I became a recruiter. And then I went back to being crypto tech, but as a platoon mama.
So me and
I
Joel
was
both,
running a maintenance.
me and Joel both are Cat 4 non-grads, just to let you know. She'll get that joke. All recruiters. do it.
Yeah.
I was on recruiter status for a very short while. So yeah, it used to be always what do you got today? A Cat 4 non-grad. You're going to roll a big donut this month. Yep, I sure am.
Well, before we get too far into it, Jane, I want to let everybody know that, behind the scenes here at MBR, we've had several veterans that's reached out to us, and when they've reached out to us, we've sent them your way. And, one of the veterans that we sent you is a female, and she, I believe she was like 30%, and now she's like 80% because of your help connecting her with who she needed to connect. So on behalf of MBR, I just wanted to say we really appreciate it, because there's a lot of veterans that you and Tracer have put on your back and helped. So we thank you for that.
So tell us what you do now. You're a VSO,
I
right?
learned all about the VA. Yeah, I spent 11 and a half years as an accredited County Veteran Service Officer. And the big thing there is the word accredited.
Yes, that I do know that.
That
yeah.
means that I had to go
That's
to
hard.
training
That's hard.
every year.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a learning process. And even once you've been through the training and doing the job and all that stuff, it takes years to learn the full extent of the job. And even today, because the rules are always changing, which is why you have to go to training every year. But you also have to sign an ethics statement with the VA that says, I will not charge veterans.
Yeah.
So how do sharks get away with this?
I'm sorry?
How do sharks get away with this, Jane? Because
that's a good question. That's a good question. How do they get away with it, Jane, when they sit there and there's a company here in North Carolina that the guys, both of them are retired officers, and they charge a fee. So they help you to get your percentage. And then once you get your percentage and start getting paid, they charge you so much every month for like 5 months or 6 months or something like that. How do they call it predatory, not predatory lending, but they call it predatory something or another.
Yeah, our senators and congressmen haven't legislated and made any laws against them. And the laws that are there have so many loopholes in them that they're able to get away with this stuff. And veterans not knowing that there are county level, state level, and national organization level accredited VSOs who have a paycheck already.
Absolutely. Like I'm the commander of a VFW, of our post at the VFW, Veterans of Foreign War, Disabled American Veterans, American Legion, AMVETS, Purple Heart Foundation, Wounded Warrior Program. There's so many national committees out there, Iraq and Afghanistan's Veterans of America that do this for free.
Hundreds.
Yeah, they've got lawyers on staff. That's what their job is. And they, you know what? When I filed my disability, they told me there was no proof that I was in combat. Here's a Purple Heart. You got an ID card, right? It's like, anyways, but yeah. So I went to the American Legion, and the American Legion guy is the one that got me. I think the first check I got was for $79. And the second check I got was $187,000. I mean, and I didn't pay anything for it. I joke with the guy. I go, I guess I owe you a steak dinner. He goes, yeah, you owe me a steak dinner. He never, it was a joke. He never asked for it, but and he left. But he was a service rep, a veteran service rep
officer.
Officer for the American Legion. And I mean, his hours were crazy. I mean, he had a line all the way out the door, and his hours were like, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, every other Thursday or something like that. But there are people out there. Jane is one of them. People out there that go above and beyond and say, hey, listen, it's not about tricks. It's about interpreting what they need to do to be able to get either their percentage raised or even to file a claim and get their claim seen and heard. It's like, it's the sleep apnea that we can connect to the PTSD. It's the traumatic brain injury that we can connect to the asthma, to the, whatever be it, the hand, I mean, it's about connecting it all to get you the disability you want, because nobody's going to hand it to you, right, Jane? You have to work for it. You have to be engaged.
VA does not advertise.
Yeah.
There is literally a 9-page document that I have that is all the presumptive illnesses. And
what is
added to the presumptive list, it's not like the VA makes a lot of noise.
Right. So explain to us that word presumptive, because
What's that?
Because the word presumptive, because I got a letter for, so I'm 100% total and permanent, and I suffer from severe COPD, asthma, never smoked. And I suffer from all this. And when we were in Kosovo and we were in Iraq, they had these huge burn pits that they would put all this old building material from Iraq. You're talking about asbestos, everything. They would burn it. And I mean, our noses would just be black underneath and stuff like that. So here I am, a former cross-country runner, and now I have trouble and I'm not overweight. I'm not, fat and overweight or nothing like that. But I have now scars on my lungs. I got things on my lungs that they can't explain and stuff like that. So I have a veteran service officer who said, hey, man, I know you're 100%, but you still need to put in for that, the burn pit and everything else and stuff. So I did. And I said, why though? He said, trust me, there's a reason behind it. Well, I got my letter the other day and it said presumptive, that the burn pit is presumptive. What does that word exactly mean?
Okay. The VA presumes that your military exposure is what has caused this illness or this disease. It's like the Agent Orange guys. There's 38 cancers that they have done with all the studies and said, you know what? Our guys are 2 to 5 times more likely to develop this illness than the other guy that's the same age that was a civilian or didn't go over into that zone, that area. So it's like ALS. ALS is a presumptive for all of us. If you serve federal active duty,
I heard that,
and you develop ALS, or you're the surviving spouse of a veteran that died from complications of ALS, or their death was significantly contributed to, so it doesn't have to be direct cause. One of my Agent Orange guys had uncontrollable type 2 diabetes. He'd had prostate cancer. He'd had another one of the cancers.
Yeah, I heard that before. I heard that. That's not the first time I heard that. Diabetes, cancer, prostate. Wow. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Ended up in a nursing home with neuropathy up past his knees. So he couldn't get out of bed to even walk the halls. So when he developed pneumonia, he couldn't participate in his own recovery from it. So he ended up drowning. And on a death certificate, they put pneumonia. But then I got the coroner to agree that, yeah, he had pneumonia and he would have been able to fight it normally as a early 60s gentleman if he'd been able to get up and walk and participate in the treatments on a, because pneumonia is something walking helps even.
So
it contributed to his death.
So it's like it's almost like you have to give them the recipe to bake the cake, so that all they have to do is put it in the oven. Period. Because they're not going to help you. They're not going to be like, oh, you need eggs for that. Oh, we're missing a pinch of flour, or we're missing a pinch of cornstarch, or whatever.
Like the National Veteran Legal Service.
Yeah, but they do and don't. The big problem is too many guys get their VA letter and they look for 2 words, awarded or denied, and then they stop reading. But if you go to the next page, it may say you were denied because of we were missing these particular medical records. You mentioned that you had your heart attack and went to the emergency room at Aurora, and we don't have the Aurora medical record to show you had a heart attack. How can they grant you for that heart attack that might be service related based on presumptives like ischemic heart disease for the Agent Orange guys if they don't have a medical record showing you were diagnosed with a heart attack?
Right.
Or it might say, we're not able to locate your service records early on when they had the fire at the National Archives. Or maybe you got married and you changed your last name for us females. So,
or us males.
Yeah. So they may reach out to you and say, well, we don't have your service treatment record. Well, if you were Reserve or National Guard, especially, a lot of them walked out of the unit carrying their record.
Well, that's what I did when I came home from Iraq. I made a copy. They handed me my packet. I got on a truck, was headed to, out of the country. And I remember I said, I'm going to make copies of this. So I asked the little specialist that was a medic, and I said, is there any way you can make copies of this for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. Well, fast forward 2014, 10 years later, they were like, there's no real proof in your medical records. Well, of course there's not, because you know what? My medical records are, they never made it back from Germany, So I went ahead and I said, well, I have copies. And they go, you do? So I remember that when they reviewed my records, and especially the Surgeon General of the Army reviewed them, the comment was made, this is exciting because we have never seen a service member that had such detailed records of his medical profile while in Iraq. And it gave them a really eye opener that, hey, this guy was diagnosed with PTSD while in theater of Iraq, and we did nothing for him, and then he gets out of the Army and we're like, so out of 14 cases, I was the only one that was granted complete and utter reprieve, if you will, or correction of records, if you will. So, yeah, I mean, I totally get that. And I think that that's a big thing is we're so quick to open that up and look at the denial or the award. And we're like, oh, only 30%. Well, it's only 30% because, I hate to use this as an example. Social Security, you apply for Social Security and they deny it. And when I got the denial letter, and this is from my brother, when I got the denial letter, I was helping to get it. The only records they pulled was from an ear, nose, and throat specialist down the road. They didn't have all his medical records for the pacemaker, for the, all the heart problems he had and everything like that. So when I saw that, and their citing factor was because of the records that they pulled from an ENT visit that he had 2 weeks ago, that pretty much just said he had a sinus infection or whatever it was, right? Or ear infection. And I'm like, really? Because they're not going to go above and beyond. They're not going to listen. We have too much to do to be running around chasing your records.
Well, they don't have the authority to get records from other places other than the VA itself and the branch of service and or National Archive. So when you say, hey, I was treated at the hospital in Colorado and I now live in Wisconsin, and Colorado Hospital, even if you sign a release to the VA saying, yeah, you can go ahead and get my records, Colorado Hospital says, oh, we charge 25 cents a page. VA is not going to pay for medical records.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I always told my guys, do not tell the VA, go get those records yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
look online, get the fax number. I'll get them to fax the document to me. You sign it, we'll fax it back, and they'll send them to you at home, or they'll send them to the office where I could just turn around and submit them to the VA.
What is one of your biggest, I guess, fights with the veterans when they come to you and they go, "Oh, I got denied," or whatever be it? What is one of the biggest, I guess, takeaways from this that you can give to veterans that are out there watching our program that you could say, "Hey, listen, when you're doing your VA claim, don't make this fatal mistake"?
Okay. Unless it is a presumptive illness or you had serious treatment for a condition inside the military, you may need to provide your own personal statement and your buddy statement. No matter what, even if it was a presumptive, I would have veteran write their personal statement. I'm filing this claim for this condition based on this event or injury in service, which happened at Easter in 1997. And over the years, this is how it has progressed. You know, you mentioned getting a 30% rating and knowing that it should be a 40 or maybe even a 50. Well, if you don't describe it to the rater, all they're going to get is when you go to comp and pen exam, that doctor has a checklist. And you walk in, you sit down, and he goes, "Okay, so how you doing?" And you say, "Okay, guess what? You've just cut your rating in half."
Yeah.
Because
he
thinks it's not bothering you.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, and you're not the first person that told me that. I hear that a lot, for soldiers and veterans that come to me and say, "Oh my gosh, this is what happened on my CMP exam, compensation pension exam." For those of you out there that haven't had one yet, and it's just like the Social Security. When my brother went to Social Security hearing and stuff like that, he wore a suit and tie, and they're like, "How are you today, Mr. Nussbaum?" He goes, "I'm doing good." "Well, then why are you here?"
Yeah.
Why are you here? We're not saying to lie. We're not saying to lie, but when you go in there, if you're going there for a condition of, your hearing or PTSD or something like that, right? Then the doctor's looking for those symptoms. He's looking for you to act in a certain way or be in a certain way, right? So, it's no fault of the VAs if you go in there, you're like, "Oh, I got hearing problems," and you go in the hearing booth and you test, off the charts for hearing, well, your hearing might not be as bad as you think it is, or maybe your wife just calls that selective hearing. But that's not the VA's.
The other thing is, if you got a bad knee from service and you're eating ibuprofen, and the doctor is like, "Okay," when the doctor says to you, because remember, a lot of these doctors are contract doctors.
Absolutely.
And again, they have to follow that checklist. They don't get to vary. They don't get to add new evidence. But you had written that personal statement that went in your file, so the rater, who is not a doctor, who odds are isn't a medical personnel, odds are isn't a military person, they're going to read your statement. And they're going to look at the checklist. Doctor says you've lost this much range of motion, or there's this much lacticity in the joint, when they grab your knee and try to go back and forth with it, things like this. But your personal statement about how you stopped playing baseball on the company team because you'd run the bases and your knee would give out.
Yeah, those are important.
Or you sold your Harley because you couldn't kickstart it anymore. Or maybe you had a job where it involved a lot of bending and stooping, and they had to change your job.
Jane just dated herself by saying kickstart a Harley.
Jane, my question is, we know that you do a lot of work with the VA. Have you ever came across any veterans that you've helped them do some, like, I don't know, some past unfinished business with, like, DOD, like awards or anything like that?
Yeah. You have the right, and a VSO.
He's asking for a friend.
Okay. So when I came out of service the first time, I had been stationed over in Korea. Well, at the time, the Korean War Medal was only a combat medal. But then they created a campaign medal, which shows you served there. And since South Korea is still considered.
Yeah, it's only a temporary ceasefire. Yeah, it was an armistice.
It's a ceasefire, not the end of the war.
Yeah, nobody signed and gave in. Yeah.
Yeah, I spent 83 to 84 in Korea. So I found out, oh, I'm entitled to the campaign medal, the service medal for Korea. So I applied, filled out the form, sent it in. They sent me a DD 215, which is an amendment to your 214. So
Yep,
and you
I
can
have
do
one of
things
those.
like that.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
want
We
to
all
get
have
your
one of those.
father's rental or service record, you can do that, but it has to go in the line of inheritance. If his widow is still living, they can request
Yeah.
it. If it's the oldest child, I'm the third daughter or fourth daughter, so I'm not able to get the records because I have two sisters older than me that are living.
So
So I switched to my oldest sister and had her sign the form, and that's how I got my dad's and grandfather's medical or service record.
That's pretty cool.
So I could see
That's
my
pretty cool.
grandfather's World War I Purple Heart. I could see my dad's World War II information.
That's pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
So what do you?
You can do all that stuff. You just got to know the rules.
That's it. It's just, the internet's there, and it's a great tool, and most everything's done online. Your compensation and everything like that, you can do it all online with the VA, your claims rather. You can do you can the archives. Yeah, I always get those two mixed up. That's my TBI. Archives, you can always do the archives. I go online a lot and look up stuff in the history of the archives. I think that's pretty cool. Military, I've got my military transcripts here. I got to show you how to do that, Joel. Military transcripts for college. A lot of people don't know that. You can go on HRC, which is Human Resources Command for the Army, and you can download your schools that you went to, and you get credits for that. Like, we were engineers, we get credit for chemistry and bio, all this bull crap. So it was pretty neat to do that, and all your schools are there, and school, all the I don't know how anybody remembers those yellow books that we would get and do the online courses. They'd send you the book, and you do all these courses and stuff like that. I forget what they call them, the courses.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I had a
lifesaver course.
Yeah, I had all of those books and everything when I was in Kosovo and Iraq and stuff. That's all I did, and all of those are on their transcript. I took one that was a commissioned officers, how to run a brigade or something like that, command. And I took that course and I was like, I passed it. I'm like, I passed it.
I think it was
I don't
correspondence.
know why the hell I'm a E5. This is some bull crap. But yeah, I mean, correspondence courses, that's what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could take that transcript and go to your local technical school or or college, university or any, and they have a book that converts those into your college credits.
Yeah.
When I came out of service, I went down to my tech school, and through the adult learning program, they designed 2 associate degrees for me based on all my credits that I already had, and said, okay, you take these 9 classes and we will give you 2 associate degrees and a technical certificate.
Yeah, right now
in 9 classes.
Yeah, I mean that's think about that, people. Seriously, I mean that's a plethora of information. Joel, don't even think about it. You and I could probably get a associate's degree in shamming. We're going to make up an associate's degree on how to get away with as little work as possible.
Inform up, Yahoo.
It's going to be under business management, as little work as possible degree. So yeah, but that's pretty cool.
Or maybe acting.
Really cool. Yeah, there you go. Or acting, right? That is pretty cool.
Education,
what do you do?
It's really pretty easy.
So what do you do now, Jane? What is your, I mean, that obviously veterans are your passion, being a veteran yourself.
Yeah. Well, I came out after active duty. 4 years later, I saw an ad for County Veteran Service Officer, and I went, gee, what's that? And since I was pushed out of the reserves prior to departure for Afghanistan, because 6 months before that, I had been in a really stupid training accident. Tore 2 tendons, a rotator cuff, blew out a disc, and broke my elbow.
I'm just curious. Are you 100% PMP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you would have said no, I'd have been like, really? She's over here preaching. She ain't even got 100%. I knew you had 100%. I've never met anybody that's a service officer that doesn't have 100% themselves. Come on.
Well, I woke up one morning and couldn't feel my right arm. And that's when I knew that I had neck problems. And you can't really see it on camera, but I have a scar that runs from about here to down to here. And that scar is rated 10% because it's above my collarbone.
Oh wow, look at that. That's listen,
Scars
listen,
below your
listen.
collarbone or from here don't
I met
get
a
rated
I
unless they're
I
red
I
and
met
aggravated.
I met a girl, my very short time that I worked at the VA. I met a girl that was 100%. And I said, "You don't mind me asking?" She goes, "No, I don't mind." I said, "How'd you get 100%?" And that was at the time I hadn't applied. I hadn't, I wasn't rated at all. And she was kind of like the deciding factor, her and another gentleman I met. And she said, "I'm 50% for the herpes complex that I got a cold sore. I get cold sores real bad on my lip." And I go, I'm sorry, say that again. She goes, "Yeah, I met this guy in Korea and we kind of hooked up and hung out and I got cold sores. I started getting cold sores on my lips and stuff like that. And it's part of the herpes complex and blah, 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 blah." And I go, "You're 50%?" She goes, "Yeah, it's considered a sexually transmitted disease or whatever it was." And I was like, hell no, come on, for real? Like for real? Like for rizzle?
Any condition, any condition you want to look up, just Google 38 space CFR, Code of Federal Regulation,
Are you
and
writing this
then
down?
ankle. In this case, herpes, PTSD, or sleep apnea.
What's that formula?
Say that again. It was 38 what?
38 CFR, Code of Federal Regulation. Now, use the Lawrence University website. You'll get the government website, and it's hard to navigate. But there's lawrenceuniversity.edu has a really user-friendly website. You go back and forth and search within and use hyperlinks and all that stuff. So that will tell you, like, if you have a knee that's rated 10% and you think it's gotten worse and you're thinking, okay, maybe I should be a 20 or a 30, do the 38 CFR knee and then go down the list until you find the proper condition for your knee. Is it bones? Is it joints? Is it ligaments? Whatever. And then you can read the symptomology that would put you at the next rating level.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I have that, and I have that, and I have that. So I have 4 out of the next 5. So
do you know
now I'm going to go in for an increase.
So do you work with anybody with DIC, or is that like not something you don't touch?
No, I work all the time with DIC. In fact, just today, one of the guys from the USO called me because his father passed, which I had helped him get his father's 100% not too long ago. And Dad passed. He was in a nursing home. And so he got the paperwork from VA to apply for survivor benefits. It's one form, but it covers DIC and wartime pension, survivor pension. So he's filling out the entire form, and I'm going, no. You don't have to report all this income and medical expenses and all this other stuff because you're not applying for the income-based pension program.
Correct, and that's the confusing part.
Because he died.
Yeah, that's the confusing part.
So
I helped.
He was like, "Oh my God, I only have to fill out 5 pages instead of 12." Yeah.
Well, I helped a young lady whose husband passed away while on active duty. He was a commander, which we call them major in the Army. And she was like, "Well, when he first died 20 years ago, I was a widow and raising 2 kids." And they were like, threw all this paperwork at me and I just signed it and that was it. So she got DIC survivor benefits. No, I take that back. She got no DIC. She got survivor benefits through the military for her husband, but they went to her kids because she got the kids only survivor benefits. She never applied for she never applied for DIC. Well, fast forward 20 years later, she applies for DIC and she got a check right away. I mean, they granted it to her. No questions asked. He was killed while on active duty. Right. So it was an active duty death. And she started getting her DIC. She got a check, back pay for DIC, and she's monthly. And then they wrote her and they go, but wait. We did some research, and 20 years ago, you said that you guys were separated. And she said, correct, we were separated. He was in the military over there, and I was home taking care of the kids. Not separated as in divorce separated. They just were separated, geographically separated. So she wrote that, she put that all in a letter, and they were like, yeah, no problem. You can have it. We're good. You can still get it. Well, then she got a little smart because she talked to me. And I said, why don't you try and do back pay for 20 years? Because here's the thing. DIC and VA are 2 different things. So a soldier can only do back pay or request right? A look, they'll only back pay you to when you actively started that that VA disability claim and kept it going. So once you let that VA disability expire, go, and then 20 years later, you go, I'm going to try it again. And they give it to you. You can't go, but I did it 20 years ago. No, yeah, you would have had to keep it
But
going.
DIC has an offset.
Correct.
DIC used to be offset by the survivor benefit plan. So widows didn't used to be able to get both.
Correct. It's the same thing like
Then they slowly phased
like the major,
it in. So she could only possibly request during the phase-in period.
Right, but remember
claim.
but remember
So,
she never got his retirement benefits though, because she did the kids only. So they no. So we submitted the paperwork, and they were like, oh yeah. So now
you're lucky.
Now now we're going to see.
Been, by regulation, a real battle that would have had to go to the board to get approval.
Well, it is. It went to the board. It went actually to the judge. Went to the judge and stuff like that for the ruling. But the ruling was that she never had and she never got any money. Not, the kids never got the money. She never got any money. So back then it was either you got one or the other. You either got the DIC or you got the retirement. Well, she never got the retirement. She just started getting the retirement 20 years later. They sent her a letter and go, oh, by the way, you can get the retirement. So she got the retirement, right? And then she applied for the DIC because I told her, I go, if you're getting a retirement now, 20 years later, you might want to go ahead and go for that DIC too. Now she's getting a DIC, but then she said, hey, I never got the retirement and I never got the DIC. Whatever happened? So the main reason, so she did apply for DIC way back 20 years ago when he passed away, but they denied her again because of that, saying that they were separated. And she just thought, this is just, I don't need it, because I got his SPLI.
Those rules have changed. If you are if you are separated as a couple, not because of service or whatever,
right?
But even if you were both lived in the same place and took some time away from the marriage, excuse me, or the widow or the surviving spouse left because, say, the guy's PTSD was abusive,
or he's cheating on her, or whatever be it,
If that spouse left. If they left through no fault of their own, then that marriage would still be recognized. Now, if she's the one that was cheating or whatever, and now living with a boyfriend, that's a different matter. You have to fight that in a different way.
Yeah. So DIC is real,
and there's
real
also,
complicated.
And even I had a veteran that was receiving. Yeah, I had a veteran that was receiving pension, and then he got sick. So we were applying for his compensation, but because of the rate of his disease, his illness, his ex moved back in with him. And he was still on pension. So they were going, wait a minute. Her second income now counts toward your household. So we're not going to. And she went, no. I am totally separate. There is no marital relationship here. And I do not contribute to his household expenses. So she was strictly there to provide him support services. And so by being able to get them both to sign a statement that said that, this was not a marriage, they don't share funds, we were able to keep him on the pension while we got the compensation going.
So one last question.
So sometimes these relationships are real important.
Is this the time to shine that you want to do, Mike?
Yep, absolutely. One last question for you that I had though was, what is your take on, are you familiar with the Major Richard Starr Act?
Yes and no. I've heard of it, and remind me which one, because I got so much legislative.
Sure, no worries. So the Major Richard Starr Act is so a combat veteran serves in combat and is injured in combat is medically retired from the military. Right. We're not talking about somebody who turned wrenches and he can't do his job anymore. He's medically retired. We're not talking about somebody who has an ingrown toenail and is medically retired. We're talking about somebody who serves in combat due to an injury in combat. They're medically retired and they normally could get their retirement, but they have to choose between their retirement. We just talked about that, or their VA compensation disability, right? They have an offset, and that offset is dollar for dollar. So everybody takes the VA money and runs because it's tax-free. Don't have to mess with it. Everybody goes for there. Now, you and I do 25 years, 20 plus years in the United States Army. We get out and we go, hey, we served in combat in here, here, and here, or not combat, whatever. It doesn't matter. And we apply for VA benefits and we get 100% total and permanent. Because we have 20 years in the Army or the military, we get our retirement and our disability, and there's no offset there. So this would eliminate that offset for combat veterans only. I need to make that clear. For combat medically retired veterans. So if you served in combat, were injured in combat, and due to no fault of yours had to retire from the military, Jed Morgan, double amputee, Marine Corps veteran, thought he was going to be the next Marine Corps commandant, stepped on a landmine, ended his career immediately. People like that, right? Those are the people like Captain Ryan, Wounded Warrior Program, who does Project Odyssey, double amputee, armed leg. He only gets his VA disability. He does not get his captain pension or his retirement as a captain from the Army because it's a 1-for-1 offset. This would eliminate that for combat veterans only. It got bipartisan support. Both Democrat and Republicans voted unanimously to go with it. Yes, absolutely. It needs to be taken away, just like they did with the spouses of DIC. But like with anything, it's money. It's a money thing. They figured out that it would be about so many veterans that served in combat, that were wounded, that were medically retired, they got no compensation, that they have to collect CRSC, which is a combat-related specialty compensation, right? Which is poppycock. It's like $600 a month. So they would have to be able to collect that or be eligible to collect that, would be able to collect their full retirement had they retired from the military at 20 years at that rank, dollar for dollar. And again, it got bipartisan support, but they figured out it would be $9 billion over a 10-year period. And that was the catch. Everybody's like, oh, that's a lot of money. So we recently went up to Washington, D.C. A whole bunch of people signed off on it. It's still being talked about. They're still trying to slide it in. I mean, it's been 3 years now, and it gets unanimous support. It gets signed off every single time, but it dies on the House floor. And it dies because of the money.
Lost you. You cut out.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Well, that's
okay.
part of it. But at the same time, when you apply for combat-related special compensation, that takes those injuries off the table when it comes to the offset. So like in the gentleman's case, between the two amputations, that's 40% and 40% right there. Because anytime you have an amputation of an extremity, it's going to be 40% minimum.
Right, but they don't get their
secondaries and everything else.
Right,
but
he
it
doesn't
separates that. So now they're only looking at the leftover VA stuff.
Well, right, but he doesn't get anything. Right, but he doesn't get anything from his retirement. That's what that was my whole point. I don't think it's fair that somebody who serves in combat and is medically retired cannot get their retirement. I think they should get their retirement. There should not be a 1-for-1 offset because it's not fair. Because,
and I agree with you there.
Because John,
if you served 18 years and just because he got injured.
Yeah, I mean, you're so close to the finish line. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not fair that John, who's a mechanic, and nothing against mechanics, I'm just making this as an example. John, the mechanic, does 25 years, goes to the VA and goes, I got carpal tunnel. And they give him 100% because he has no movement in his hands or anything like that. So now he's collecting his E8 pay as a retired master sergeant from the Army, and he's collecting 100% total and permanent. Right. So
he can't collect 100% based on carpal tunnel.
Well, I'm just.
So it has to be. It's just a figurative damage than that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's just an example.
But he has to have multiple. He has to have multiple damages, or he has to have been exposed to something that is a terminal illness, such as ALS, such as cancer, might be related to his MOS. The chemicals he used in his MOS may have done this to him. One of my jet plane guys, he did the arresting cable on a carrier, and the chemicals that he was exposed to on a daily basis, I had to get the chemical breakdown of the solvent that he was using, plus the reports that show that these chemicals cause this type of cancer. Submitted that, and the VA said, yeah, the cancer's our fault. So they put him at 100% while he was in active cancer.
Right.
Once he's gone a year, quote, cancer free, then they drop him back down. And depending on the residuals, they may drop him to 20%, they may drop him to 60%. But that's because of the add-ons for secondaries and residuals.
Huh, that's
Okay.
interesting.
So all that stuff is flexible case by case. The max you can get for a leg amputation is 40%, unless you've got other vascular and ligamentary damage to the upper
Well,
part of
that's
that limb.
right. That's when you sit there and you go, because of my amputation, now I have a gant in my walk, and it's I got bone spurs in my hips because of degenerative arthritis in my left knee, because my left knee's compensating for the amputation, and then you just connect the dots and it just goes all the way up. Yeah,
I didn't want
absolutely.
to. I didn't want to cut in, but I'm
All right,
going
let's
to.
roll. Let's do this.
Hey, Jane, we're gonna have you on again. You're just a big source of information, and honestly, thank you so much for helping us with behind the scenes and stuff. It's that time where it is your time to shine.
Today's Time to Shine is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts, veterans, and first responders. Runs on Dunkin'.
This is your time to shine, baby. It's your time to shine.
All right, it's your time. Go for it.
Okay. I had 21 and a half years in service, almost 12 years as a county veteran service officer. Never got paid a penny for anything from my veterans, only my employer. And they did not charge. So you need to look for your accredited county veteran service officer. But I am on LinkedIn. If you search Jane Babcock on LinkedIn, odds are I'm going to be the first one that pops up, because I have so many connections and I have so many profile views every week and stuff. Reach out to me. I will send you all the teaching tools. Teaching
awesome.
tools that I'll be using in September when I go to a national conference and teach VA.
Hey, listen up, people. This is good stuff.
And including my phone number. So if you need to, you can message me on LinkedIn. We'll set up a time. We'll do a phone call. I do virtual classes. I do live classes here in Wisconsin. Just scheduled one this morning. So I'm out here and I'm more than happy to help. And if you are a national media person, PBS, NPR, ABC, all that stuff, I want to get on national TV, because 40% of our veterans are over 65 and a lot of them are non-tech. They're not listening to us right now.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree.
They need that radio. They need that TV.
Let's make this blow up, everybody. Make this blow up, and let's get her on national TV. We need to get her on like Fox News, CNN,
right.
NBC. Yep.
It's coming. We'll get you there, Jane. We'll get you there.
Hey, thanks for having us being on our
do.
show, Jane. Thank you so much for being on our show. We really appreciate you. And thank you for all you do for the veteran community.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to reach more of the family. Thank you, guys.
I'll message you a little later, Jane. Thank you. All right.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, she has so much information to give. I mean, listen, if you were listening to us and you didn't, I mean, you got to play this back. I mean, she has a plethora of information to give you guys, man. You're listening to Veterans Talk on the radio station that gives veterans a voice, Military Broadcast Radio. I am your host, DJ Magic Mike, on Veterans Talk, along with my partner in crime, H-Train.
We'll see you guys next Thursday, same bad time, same bad channel. And remember, we're here for
you, not for us.
Giving our veterans a voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.